Butcher's Crossing, John Williams. This book, I had read Stoner already. It was pretty easy to sell me. I saw a recommendation for it by Man Carrying Thing. He was like, I absolutely really like this. Once I read a little bit about the book and how he was sort of responding to Emerson, American exceptionalism, and man's relationship with nature, and nature as this beautiful thing. Nature is also a very brutal thing, and the book is brutal. So characters, I mean, the characters are great. I gotta give them like a 4.5. The way that they all just come alive, and the way that they are so typical of themselves and then investigated and become deeper. That's what I love about a character, is if you sort of get a window into their world, so you're like, I see you immediately, and then it gets deeper and you learn these sort of nuances about them. That's what I'm here for, which is exactly what happens. Andrews is great. Starts out so naive, and you can tell by the end, not so naive anymore. And it's the way in which a sort of coming of age book can be so riveting, even though you've read so many of them, is great. And I mean, Schneider, I think, is a really nuanced character in that, you know, you like him, and then he does stuff that you just hate. And then, like, I think the most heartbreaking character is probably Charlie, and everything that happens with him, and his hand, and his PTSD, and the way that just everything sort of falls apart on this hunt. And it really had an old man in the sea kind of plot, but it really just wakes you up to the stuff that we did, and the stuff that America was doing in this sort of expansionist time period. Miller's fantastic. They're making it into a movie. Can't recommend it enough. The characters are fantastic. And the sex worker in the beginning and end is so good, because this is very much like a dick lit kind of book, in that, you know, it's a bunch of men doing a bunch of man shit and then being man about it. But the wisdom Francine has in the beginning is so insightful, just the way she behaves. And he's like, no, I want to go, I'm gonna go be a man. And she's like, no, don't be like this, hold on to this, because once this innocence is gone, and you're never gonna get it back. She's really good, despite the fact that she's very much kind of a treated as a prop or a thought in his mind. Despite all of that, she has a surprising amount of depth, considering how little she's in the novel. Because she doesn't go on the hunt with them, and the whole book is the hunt. The plot is so good. It's definitely got that old man in the sea type of thing, if you're into that, where they're going on the hunt, they get the buffalo, trying to bring the buffalo back, sell the hides. So that simplicity really makes it easy to get into, but the complications that happen are all like character driven and motivating and pushing the plot forward, and they're all escalating and getting more difficult and more difficult, so you're never bored. There's a couple of moments that I do feel torn about complaining, because the parts where I did feel like it was dragging a little bit were parts that were supposed to be slow and grueling, if that makes sense. Like when they're walking through the plains and you're just like, oh my god, get through it. That's how they feel. So I can't really even be too mad about it. His writing style is fantastic. He's funny, he's witty, he's smart, he's sincere and vulnerable in a way that so few writers I've ever read are. The way that he tells it like it is, I know that's another Hemingway thing, but I mean, he has a more emotion in his writing than Hemingway does, definitely. Despite being that sort of pulled back prose, he knows exactly when to like bloom into the more flowery thoughts and descriptions and lofty ideas and character revelations. The theme, I really dig the theme. I really like the theme in terms of man's relationship to nature, just because, you know, I live in New York now, and there's this, you know, belief about nature and beauty that I totally subscribe to. And I also love that sort of Rilkean discussion about man's relationship with nature and how beautiful it is, and that's in the book. But nature like doesn't love you back. That comes through in spades in this book. Nature is actively trying to kill them for most of the book. Having his Emerson kind of Thoreau, Walden beliefs coming out of college, and having all of that sort of tested and removed is kind of a joy to watch from anybody who's ever been like actually camping not in an air-conditioned trailer, that when they're just out there in the wilderness, in the elements, and ruthlessness of that, it reminds you of what nature's really like and what people are really like when they're cold, hungry, and only eating beans and coffee. That mixed with the coming of age, seeing nature for what it really is as you grow up, is really put together very well. The pacing, 4 out of 5. The pacing is really good. The book's not long, 270 something pages. The pacing is good. It is more of a character driven novel, but then he'll drop away with a lot of action and a lot of decision making, and there is some gore in the book. There is, and that's part of it, in the sense of just killing the buffalo, and you're just like, oh my gosh. But by the end of it, you're racing to the end. It's so much fun, especially whenever you start learning about the economics of the situation at the end. I don't even want to give it away. So yeah, overall 4.5. Just read John Williams. I'm also going to read his other book, Augustus, soon. I highly recommend it. Yeah, it was great.